again, everyone. The Snowman back, and the first tennis major of the year just around the corner now. The draws are out for the 2022 Australian Open. This is going to be my women's singles draw analysis. Please check out my men's breakdown as well, but going to take a look at some of the tastiest first round matchups right now. Also going to see how the draw looks for some of the favorites on the women's side, and just make some predictions for this women's draw.
And before we pull up the draw, a few big name players that won't be at the Australian Open. World number 5 Karolina Pliskova injured her right hand, so her streak of 35 consecutive appearances at majors will be snapped. Last year's Aussie Open runner-up Jennifer Brady is out with a foot injury. Also no Serena Williams, who hasn't played since Wimbledon after that hamstring injury. Serena still working her way back to 100% fitness. And then Bianca Andreescu taking some time off to get her mind and body right as well. Onto the draw, and we begin with the top seed Ash Barty, the solid favorite, already has a title this season. Last week in Adelaide, only dropped one set en route to defeating 4 top 20 players, and didn't drop serve in her last 3 matches, unbroken in 35 consecutive games, so serving at an extremely high level. Barty now 25-4 on hard courts in 2021 and 22, looks very comfortable out there. She's been the number 1 player in the world for 103 weeks in a row and counting, and I think she has a great chance of ending this year at number 1 again. Muguruza would probably be her biggest threat there, but such great consistency across all 3 surfaces. Of course, her second major title last year at Wimbledon. You just wonder if the extra pressure, though, playing at home in Australia will get to her again. Quarterfinals in Melbourne last year. That being said, Ash probably doesn't love her draw this year. Should be relatively straightforward to get past the first week, but waiting in the 4th round could be 13 seed Naomi Osaka, a player she has a 2-2 head-to-head record against. Osaka knocked Barty out of the 2018 Aussie Open, and we know Naomi's credentials, a 4-time hardcourt major champion, certainly one of the other top 3 favorites to win this tournament on paper. That's why it's just so dramatic that she and Barty are this close in the draw, reached the semifinals of her Melbourne tune-up event before pulling out. Just precautionary, not wanting to overexert the body. She said she was feeling a bit sore, but I'm encouraged by what I've seen so far from Osaka. So much time off last year, but she looks refreshed and recharged. Win Facet, always going to give her a strong game plan each match, and this section is just loaded in general. Number 22 Belinda Bencic is nearby. We've got Ana Samova, who might be the most dangerous unseeded player at the Aussie Open. Won her Melbourne 250 event last week, has Darren Cahill in the coaching box now. Anisimova looks ready to put 2021 behind her, so watch out for her. I think Bencic and Samova would be the highest quality second round matchup in the entire draw, which then could lead to a blockbuster 3rd round in Bencic Osaka, and of course potentially Barty Osaka in round 4, where I'd maybe slightly lean in favor of Naomi. And that's just the top half, though. We still have the 9 seed Ons Jabeur, who led the tour in total wins last year with 48. She's been to the quarters in Melbourne, did have to retire in Sydney though with some lower back pain. We hope she's ready for the start here. And number 5 Maria Sakkari at the bottom, who was an absolute giant killer in 2021, led the entire tour with 9 top 10 wins, most of them coming in the majors, semifinal runs at the French Open and the US Open at 2. She already looks to be in mid-season form fitness-wise, so this top quarter is dripping with talent. It's oozing with class. A shame that Barty and Osaka would have to meet so early. Again, if I had to pick, I'd say that Osaka wins and escapes this quarter. Moving on to section number 2, not as loaded, but still some marquee names. The top seed is number 4 Barbara Kriegeva, the WTA Most Improved Player of the Year from last season. And how could you pick anyone else? I mean, Kriegeva started 2021 ranked 65. All of a sudden, she wins her first 3 career singles titles, including Roland Garros. Now she's up to a career high ranking of 4 in the world. Just a great double skill set, the serve, the power, volleying ability. Aussie Open, the only major that the Czech hasn't been to the round of 16 of. In fact, Kriegeva's best showing in Melbourne was just the 2nd round last year. She draws the veteran Andrea Petkovic in the 1st round. Potential danger looming in round 3 with either Donna Vekic or maybe number 26 Yelena Ostapenko. The 24 seed Victoria Azarenka could be a 4th round opponent for Kriegeva. Vika had the 2nd best win percentage last season on the tour behind Barty at 76%. I'd pick Azarenka over number 15 Elina Svitolina in that mini section. Svitolina not quite out of the starting blocks in 2022 yet, 0-2 2022. Did lose to Madison Keys and to world number 121, Anastasia Pavliachenkova, so some troubling signs for the Ukrainian. And speaking of Maddie Keys, she's part of a real popcorn first-round matchup. Keys versus Kennen, the 11 seed Sofia Kennen made a return in Adelaide with a couple of victories, but got bageled by Kazakhina in Sydney. And Kennen, we know she's had a litany of injuries and issues that kept her off the court last year. I do think it's going to take some time for her to get back into top form. Her ranking's going to undoubtedly plummet after this event, as she's defending 2,000 points from winning the Aussie Open back in 2020. So it may be a slower grind back to the elite ranks. I do see Keys pulling off that upset. She's got a 2-0 head-to-head advantage on hard court versus Kennen. Another American then, the 18 seed Coco Goff, who's off to an efficient start to her season. At age 17, still the youngest player in the top 200, and Coco looks like she's added some muscle, playing really well. I'd probably lean towards saying number 8, Paula Badosa, is the favorite in this section, though. The 2021 Indian Wells champ off to a promising start this year. Nice wins over Ostapenko, Tomljanovic, and Bencic already. And I love Badosa's playing style. She's a bold shot maker, a big match player, 12-5 record against top 20 opponents in 2021. She isn't afraid to go for that big shot down the line. So the offense of Badosa versus the defense of Goff in round 4 would be spectacular to watch. We've got some more heavy hitters in section 3. I want to start at the bottom of your screen with number 3, Garbine Muguruza. Overall, I'm buying as much Muguruza stock as possible right now. I anticipate a massive 2022 season for the Spaniard. I wrapped up last season by marching her way to the WTA Finals title in Guadalajara, and she picked up right where she left off in Sydney against Alexandrova this week. I was very impressed with Mugu's forehand timing. The backhand down the line was dominant. She was aggressive coming to the net. I did lose to Kazakhina, but it seems like Muguruza in such a good mental state, both on and off the court at the moment. I feel like she has a tremendous chance to end the season at number 1. Of course, she held match points last Aussie Open against the eventual champ Naomi Osaka. Mugu made the final in Melbourne the year before that, so she likes the fast hard courts down under, and it's an easy enough first 3 rounds for her. Very manageable first week, but the 14 seed Simona Halep could be waiting in the 4th round, and 2022 has all the makings of a bounce back year for the 2-time major champ. Halep, one of the early title winners last week in Melbourne, looked really sharp, just 1 set lost in 5 matches. Halep had the calf and the adductor injury last year, but her stock is rising too yet again, seems determined to ascend back into the top 10. The only problem is that Muguruza 5-0 all-time against Halep on hard court, so I will take the Spaniard there. Elsewhere, we have 2 U.S. Open champions meeting in round 1. Sloane Stevens against the 17 seed Emma Radakanu. Slow start to the new season for Radakanu. Got COVID in the preseason in Abu Dhabi and then got blown out by Radakanu this week in Sydney. Only won a single game there. I think the consensus with Radakanu is that the future is bright, but it may take some time. This will be her Australian Open main draw debut, so we forget that this 19-year-old still has a lot of firsts to check off, but we know the ceiling, we know the potential is there. The aforementioned 12 seed Elena Rybakina nearby as well. Made the final in Adelaide, losing to Bardi. Rybakina has some major weaponry, powerful flat ground. He's big first serve. And at the top, number 6, Annette Kantavi, dangerous player, elite ball striker whose form is hotter than just about anyone. 32-4 in her last 36 matches, all on hard court. 4 titles at the tail end of 2021, and she's looked good so far in Australia. I'd pick Muguruza and Rybakina to make the quarters, with Mugu advancing to the final 4. As for our final section, there's maybe slightly more opportunity to be had. Some recent red flags for the 2 seed Aryna Sabalenko. Of course, a fantastic season last year, but some disconcerting signs at the start of her 2022. 0-2 so far, and her game is all over the place. Disjointed, really lacking rhythm. Sabalenka has had 26 service games through 2 matches and already has 39 double faults. That comes after a 2021 season where she led the tour in double faults, and it seems like she just can't find her groove in Australia. I mentioned on my 2022 WTA season preview that Sabalenka was a mere 3-14 after losing the first set last season, so she's a player who needs to be playing with a lead. I think it could be an unexpected quick exit in Melbourne for the Belarusian. Wouldn't shock me if she lost in round 1 to Storm Sanders or to Samsonova in round 3. A couple of left-handers above them, number 23, Layla Fernandez, and 15, Angie Kerber. The 33-year-old German hasn't played yet in 2022 after testing positive for COVID last month. Strong finish to 2021, though. I'd love to see a Fernandez-Kerber third round. Layla plays some fearless tennis, has that lefty swag, the short angles, very similar to Kerber. Number 10, Anastasia Pavliachenkova, coming off some career highlights in 2021, making her first career major final in Paris. She's a 3-time quarterfinalist at the Australian Open. We see 20-seed Petra Kvitova there, too. How about the start of 2022 for number 25, Daria Kasatkina, on the rise again, 6-1 so far, playing well in Sydney, beating Kennen, Mertens, and Muguruza all in straights. So Kasatkina seems to have her confidence back. And the 7-seed Iga Swiatek, very encouraging signs to start the season for Swiatek, who says she wants to get back to playing more aggressive and being proactive like she was as an underdog coming up a couple of years ago. The forehand looks phenomenal for Swiatek. Pulled out of Sydney this week, just wanted some extra time for her body to recover, but she's the only woman to make at least the round of 16 at all 4 majors last year. I think the winner of Swiatek Kasatkina could make it all the way to the semis. Now would make my final 4 Osaka versus Badosa and Muguruza versus Swiatek. And something's just pulling me towards Muguruza. I think this is going to be a big season for her. I'm not overly confident. She could lose early, but I will say that Garbine Muguruza wins the 2022 Australian Open.
Thanks a lot for watching my 2022 Women's Australian Open preview. Please take a look at my men's preview as well. If you have any comments, questions, please leave a comment. Subscribe to the Snowman Sports Media for more tennis videos, and I'll see you real soon. Cheers.